I didn't think much of it the first time she said it. We were in the kitchen, moving around each other in that practiced way people do after years of living together. She was rinsing something in the sink, half distracted, and she tossed it out casually. "My work husband bought me lunch again today. You need to step up." She smiled when she said it, not even looking at me. I remember smiling back, because that's what you do with jokes that are supposed to stay light. But it didn't quite land right, not enough to argue about. Just enough to notice. After that, it kept coming up. Different phrasing, same idea. A passing comment about how attentive he was. A comparison wrapped in humor. Always light. Always dismissible. I told myself it wasn't a big deal. People say things like that. Office dynamics, inside jokes. I didn't want to be the person who turns something small into something heavy. Still, I started noticing the rhythm of it. Not just what she said, but how easily it came to her. Like I was part of the audience, not the person being referenced. I didn't bring it up, not directly. Instead, I started doing that quiet accounting people do when they're trying to understand if something matters. The dinners I did cook. The errands I handled. The small, forgettable things that don't sound impressive when said out loud. Nothing dramatic. Just a slow realization that I didn't know what she meant by "step up," and that she hadn't really meant it as a request anyway. It was a joke, and jokes don't come with instructions. The day I sent the card, I wasn't angry. That's the part I keep going back to. I was calm, almost amused, in a way that felt controlled. Like I'd figured out a way to respond without making it into a conversation I didn't want to have. I found the card at a grocery store. Plain neutral. Nothing sarcastic about it on the surface. I wrote something simple, thanking him for taking care of her during the workday. I added a $20 gift card, just enough to make it feel intentional, not excessive. It felt clever, not aggressive, not even confrontational. Just a shift in tone. A way of taking the joke and placing it somewhere more visible. Where it couldn't just float around casually anymore. I didn't tell her I sent it. I think part of me wanted the reaction to come naturally, without framing, but nothing happened. That afternoon she came home like usual. We talked about normal things, dinner, work, a show we were halfway through. No mention of it. For a moment, I wondered if the card had even arrived. Then the next morning, around midday, my phone rang. Her name came up, but something about the timing felt off. She usually texted during work hours. I answered. She didn't say hello right away. "Why would you do that?" she asked. Her voice wasn't angry. It was tight. Controlled in a way that made me sit up straighter. I knew immediately what she meant. "I thought it was appropriate," I said. I kept my tone even. "You said he's been taking care of you." There was a pause, not silence, more like she was choosing what not to say. "It went to HR," she said finally. That didn't make sense at first. "The card," she added. "He didn't know what to do with it, so he showed his manager. And now HR is involved." I didn't respond right away. I think I was still trying to understand how something so small had moved that far. "They called me in," she continued. "They're asking questions. About boundaries. About whether anything inappropriate is happening. About you." That last part landed differently. "About me. They think?" She stopped herself, then tried again. "They're treating it like a workplace issue. Like something that could turn into a complaint." I leaned back in my chair, staring at nothing in particular. The joke had left our house. It had become something else entirely. "I didn't mean for that to happen," I said. "I know," she replied quickly. Too quickly. "But that doesn't matter now." There was movement on her end, muffled voices, a door closing. "They're asking if I've encouraged anything," she said more quietly. "If I've crossed any lines." The word lines hung there. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Because we both knew the answer wasn't clean, not in the way it needed to be for a conversation like that. "I told them it was a joke," she said. "And was it?" I asked. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't push. But it was the first time I'd said it out loud. Another pause. "I thought it was," she said. That was the moment something shifted, not dramatically. Not in a way you could point to and say, "There, that's where everything changed." But the ease was gone. The space where things could be brushed off without consequence had closed. "HR wants to follow up again later," she added. "They said they need to document everything." The language sounded heavy coming from her. "Official. detached. I imagined her sitting in a small room, explaining our conversations to someone taking notes. Explaining a joke. After the call ended, I stayed where I was for a long time. I didn't feel victorious. That wasn't it. If anything, I felt exposed. Like I'd tried to communicate something indirectly, and ended up saying more than I intended, in a place where tone doesn't carry and context gets flattened into bullet points. That evening, she came home later than usual. We didn't talk about it right away. We moved around each other again, like we had days before. Same kitchen. Same habits. But the rhythm was different, more careful. Eventually, she said, I might need to switch teams. It was said casually, but it wasn't a casual thing. Because of this, I asked. She shrugged, but it wasn't dismissive. More like she didn't have a better answer. They said it might be easier. Easier, another word that didn't quite fit. I nodded. I didn't think it would go this far, I said. I know, she replied. And I believed her. But that didn't undo anything. We didn't argue. There wasn't a big confrontation or some clear resolution. Just a quiet understanding that something small had been carrying more weight than either of us admitted. And that once it left the space between us, it stopped being ours to manage. A few days later, she stopped using the phrase, work husband, not because we agreed on it. It just disappeared, like it no longer belonged anywhere. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd just said something the first time. Something direct, uncomfortable, maybe. But contained. Instead, I chose something cleaner, more controlled. And somehow that's what made it spill over.